The modern world we live in is built on something incredibly fragile. And no, I'm not talking about the internet, the global economy, or democracy. I'm talking about batteries. Without them, our modern existence basically shuts down in a matter of hours. From the very smartphone you're watching this video on, to the shiny new electric cars, to the entire renewable energy grid. Our entire future is practically held hostage by a 30-year-old technology known as lithium-ion. Don't get me wrong, lithium-ion is amazing. It literally changed the world. But it has one tiny, microscopic, incredibly annoying little flaw. It's full of liquid. Specifically, a highly reactive liquid electrolyte that helps move energy back and forth between the poles. And sometimes, under the wrong conditions, this liquid likes to express itself in the most dramatic way possible. When things get a little too hot or the battery gets damaged, a chain reaction starts. And before you know it, boom! A thermal runaway turns your expensive gadget into a miniature, terrifying fireworks display. Not exactly what you want inside your pocket, or under the seat of your car driving down the highway, right? But what if I told you scientists are working on a revolutionary new technology to replace it? Enter the solid-state battery. A battery that could potentially hold twice as much energy in the exact same physical space. A battery that could charge your electric car fully in just 5 minutes, basically rivaling a trip to the gas station. And best of all, it has absolutely zero liquid inside, meaning it will positively, absolutely never catch on fire. Sounds like a total sci-fi scam meant to grab investor money, right? Well, welcome to the most cutthroat technological race of the 21st century. To truly understand why humanity is so desperately thirsty for this solid-state miracle, we first need to take a hard, embarrassing look at our own technological stagnation. Think about the last 30 years. Computer chips have shrunk to microscopic sizes and become millions of times more powerful. A computer that used to take up a whole building can now literally fit inside your smartwatch, casually calculating quantum physics. But what about the batteries powering these godlike devices? Well, they took a slightly different path. Since the first commercial lithium-ion battery hit the market way back in 1991, powering those clunky old camcorders, their energy density, meaning how much juice we can physically squeeze into a specific space, has only improved by about 3 times. 3 times. In over 3 decades. Meanwhile, everything else we invented got exponentially hungrier for power. Scientists have spent years sweating in labs, desperately trying to optimize and tweak the exact same basic chemical formula. It's essentially like trying to pack for a month-long vacation using only a tiny, already overstuffed carry-on suitcase. You can roll your shirts tighter, sit on the lid, and maybe pray to the physics gods. But eventually, the zipper is going to break, and your explosive underwear will fly all over the airport terminal. We have essentially reached the absolute physical limit of what liquid lithium-ion can safely handle without turning into a bomb. If we want flying cars, grid-scale solar storage, or phones that last a week, we need to completely rip out the liquid. To understand the solid-state solution, we first have to shrink down to the atomic level and look at how a standard battery actually works. Every battery consists of 3 main components: a negative side called the anode, a positive side called the cathode, and a thin separator in the middle. Filling the space between them is the electrolyte, which is a liquid. And living inside this liquid are our tiny heroes, the lithium ions. When you plug your phone into the wall to charge, you are essentially forcing these little guys to swim across the liquid pool. They migrate from the comfortable cathode over to the anode, where they are forcefully crammed into tiny graphite layers, like guests in an overbooked hotel. They absolutely hate it there. They are highly energetic, unstable, and want nothing more than to go back to their original home. The moment you unplug your phone and open a demanding app, a door opens. The ions excitedly jump back into the liquid pool and swim back home to the cathode. As they do, their movement releases a steady stream of electrons through your device's circuits. This flow of electrons is the magical electrical current that powers your screen, your processor, and those endless late-night cat videos. It's an elegant, beautiful dance, but the entire system relies entirely on that liquid electrolyte acting as a smooth, easy-to-cross swimming pool. Here is the catch. That liquid is basically a cocktail of highly volatile, flammable organic solvents. It is essentially chemical gasoline. If the battery gets forcefully punctured in a car crash or overheats on a scorching hot summer day, this liquid can vaporize and expand. But even if you treat your battery perfectly, the fundamental chemistry is slowly destroying itself from the inside out with every single charge. Over hundreds and thousands of cycles, some of those tiny lithium ions get a little lazy or a little lost along the way. Instead of slipping neatly back into their graphite hotel beds, they start piling up on the surface, clumping together to form something truly sinister. In battery science, we call these microscopic metallic spikes dendrites, and they are the ultimate villains of the energy storage world. Like jagged, creeping stalagmites, they slowly grow across the liquid pool, eventually piercing right through the battery's delicate protective separator. Once the dendrite touches the positive side, it creates a direct electrical bridge, a massive short circuit. All the stored energy dumps at once, heating up that highly flammable pool of liquid electrolyte to boiling point in a fraction of a second, resulting in, well, a very bad day for your pants pocket. This constant threat of liquid fire is the ultimate roadblock for battery progress. So how do we defeat a monster that thrives in liquid? It's brilliantly simple. We freeze the pool. Instead of a liquid electrolyte, a solid-state battery uses a rigid, solid piece of advanced material, usually a specialized ceramic, glass, or polymer. It sounds impossible. How can ions swim through solid rock? Thanks to atomic engineering, they magically hop through microscopic crystal tunnels. But what about our villain? When those lazy lithium ions try to stack up and form a deadly dendrite spike, it hits a literal brick wall. The solid ceramic is incredibly tough, completely blocking the spikes from growing any further. No dendrite penetration means absolutely zero chance of internal short circuit. The villain is defeated. Forever. Furthermore, because there is zero flammable liquid inside to evaporate or catch fire, a solid-state battery is essentially fireproof. You can literally cut a solid-state battery in half with a pair of scissors, and it will calmly continue powering your device without missing a beat. Because we no longer need heavy protective safety casings or thick liquid separators, we can squish the internal layers much closer together. The result? A massive leap in energy density. That depressing flat graph we looked at earlier, it finally goes vertical. So, if solid-state batteries are the ultimate holy grail of energy, why aren't they in your phone right now? Why the painful wait? Well, mostly because the universe loves a good joke, and physics absolutely refuses to make things easy for us. Problem number 1, the breathing effect. You see, when a battery charges and discharges, its internal electrodes actually physically swell up and contract. When your electrolyte is a liquid, this is no big deal. The liquid simply sloshes around and gracefully fills any empty spaces. But what happens when you forcefully push an expanding block of material tightly against a perfectly rigid, completely unyielding wall of solid ceramic? Crack! Over time, the constant swelling puts immense microscopic pressure on the solid material, causing devastating fractures to appear. Once the solid separator cracks, the magical pathways are broken. Our poor little lithium ions fall into the fractures and get permanently trapped. And just like that, the battery's capacity plummets, dying completely after only a few dozen cycles. Not exactly ideal for a $50,000 car. Problem number 2, manufacturing at scale. Making perfectly flawless, ultra-thin sheets of specialized ceramics is incredibly, mind-bendingly difficult. Even a single microscopic speck of dust or a tiny air bubble trapped during production can completely shatter the separator and ruin the entire battery. Creating one perfect battery in a strictly controlled lab is one thing, Doing it millions of times a day on a massive factory line? That's a nightmare. Because of this, manufacturing a true solid-state battery right now is mind-bogglingly expensive. It's practically like burning piles of cash just to charge your smartphone. To solve this temporarily, many companies are creating semi-solid batteries. They add just a tiny bit of liquid gel to cushion the expanding layers. It's a clever compromise, making them safer and slightly better, but let's be honest. It is still not the true 100% solid-state miracle we are chasing. However, the race is far from over. The first company to completely solve these physical and financial roadblocks will basically own the future of energy. And when I say own the future, I mean trillions of dollars. That's exactly why the biggest corporate players on Earth are throwing mountains of cash at this problem. Giant legacy automakers, governments, and specialized tech startups have formed a chaotic global army of super nerds to crack the manufacturing code. They are secretly building massive multi-billion-dollar testing facilities that look less like boring factories and more like actual supervillain lairs. And honestly, the craziest part about all of this is they are actually starting to win. Scientists have recently achieved massive breakthroughs in creating new solid materials that don't crack when the battery breathes, acting more like a microscopic trampoline. To prove it, engineers took a brand new solid-state prototype into the lab and decided to absolutely torture it, just to see what would happen. First, the nail penetration test. They drove a literal giant steel spike straight through the dead center of the battery. A normal lithium battery would instantly explode into a deadly fireball. But the solid-state prototype? It just sat there, cold, unbothered, happily powering a light bulb. Next, they took a massive industrial hydraulic press and mercilessly crushed the battery until it was visibly bent completely out of shape. Still, no fire. Even after cutting it, freezing it, and shooting it with a high-powered laser, the solid material held its ground. The Dendrite monsters are finally losing the war. Right now, these advanced solid-state batteries are already being produced. But because of the manufacturing nightmares, they are made in very small, incredibly expensive batches. You might already find them secretly powering tiny medical implants inside the human body, or in highly specialized military drones where extreme safety is worth paying a massive premium. But the timeline for everyday consumers is rapidly shrinking. Several major car companies have publicly promised to release the first consumer vehicles equipped with true solid-state batteries before 2030. That means the ultimate holy grail of energy storage, the battery that won't catch fire and charges in 5 minutes, might literally be sitting in your driveway in less than a decade. The transition period between now and then will be messy, incredibly expensive, and full of delayed promises. But the momentum of this technology is now completely unstoppable. While a fast-charging electric car is great for your morning commute, the true magic of solid-state batteries happens on a macroscopic scale. Take aviation. Currently, electric commercial airplanes are basically impossible because liquid lithium-ion batteries are simply too insanely heavy to lift themselves off the ground. But if you cut that weight entirely in half while doubling the power output, suddenly, short-haul electric flights become a very real possibility, silently gliding through the clouds without burning a single drop of jet fuel. Then there's the global power grid. Solar and wind energy are amazing, but they have a fatal flaw. The sun sets, and the wind eventually stops blowing. To power entire megacities overnight, we need massive, incredibly safe, and highly efficient energy storage farms. Solid-state technology could finally provide that missing puzzle piece, allowing us to run a 100% renewable grid 24 hours a day. This means the sprawling empire of fossil fuels, which has completely dominated human history for over a century, will finally, inevitably, have a definitive expiration date. We are talking about arguably the most significant shift in human infrastructure since the Industrial Revolution. Now let's keep our expectations grounded. This transition won't be perfectly smooth or happen overnight. We still need to physically mine massive amounts of raw lithium and other specialized metals to build these billions of batteries, which has its own very real environmental costs. But here is the beautiful mathematical truth. Unlike fossil fuels, which you burn once and lose forever into the atmosphere, battery metals can be recycled, melted down, and reused over and over and over again for decades. We are fundamentally moving from a fragile world that burns its fuel to survive to a world that simply borrows and stores its energy directly from the universe. So when exactly can you expect to buy a phone that never catches fire and lasts all week? For now, you'll just have to keep treating your current liquid lithium-ion batteries with respect. And maybe don't leave them cooking in the hot sun. The solid-state revolution is no longer just a scam or a sci-fi dream. It is a slow, difficult, but inevitable reality. If you want to understand more about the invisible forces shaping our future before your phone dies again, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, and it helps us buy more coffee for our exhausted animators. Thanks for watching. Check out our other videos here, and we'll see you in the next one.